But first, a KXAN investigation important for you and your family. It's a heart-wrenching decision many of us have to face one day, trusting someone to care for our aging loved ones. Tonight, the state agency watching over places like nursing homes and retirement communities admits to KXAN it made a mistake, even broke the law.
Investigator Brian Collister reveals sexual abuse allegations inside a local assisted living facility.
She's very warm, very much a people person.
Alzheimer's disease and dementia took their toll on this Austin woman's mother. She asked we not reveal her face or name.
It tears you up. It's hard to watch that and know that, there's nothing you can do.
It got so bad in 2011, a doctor and judge ruled her mother incapacitated, unable to make decisions for herself, and appointed a legal guardian. Created by the Texas Exes, Longhorn Village seemed the perfect place for her mom, now in her 70s, to get the assisted care she requires. But a few months after entering Longhorn Village, she noticed a change in her mother.
She became more and more distraught. She talked about wanting to move. She became more and more withdrawn and upset.
The woman's legal guardian and family claim in this lawsuit she was sexually assaulted in 2012 by a male resident, described as a sexual predator, not just once, but twice, and that the male resident's sexual activities were known to the administration, but nothing was done to protect his victims.
You believe your mother was sexually assaulted in that nursing home?
I do. I do believe that she was sexually assaulted.
She's allowing us to show you her mother's face because she wants you to see this, what the family describes as a dramatic decline in the months after the alleged sexual assaults.
I'm just heartbroken. She really suffered a lot.
In response to the lawsuit, Longhorn Village denies any wrongdoing. Michael Little was Longhorn Village's Director of Healthcare Services at the time of the incidents.
What was the obligation of Longhorn Village to its assisted living residents?
Objection form.
To ensure the prevention of abuse and neglect.
In this videotaped deposition, Little denies knowing she had a legal guardian, even though Longhorn Village's current director admitted in a later court hearing a copy of the court order was in her medical file.
Didn't you think when there was an allegation of sexual assault that the medical file should have been reviewed for the alleged victim of that assault?
Based on the information we had, we didn't look at it as sexual assault.
Okay, so you didn't review the medical file after the allegations of sexual assault came up?
No.
He also admits they did nothing to stop the male resident, who we're not naming since he has not been charged with a crime. Dr. Carmel Dyer with the Texas Elder Abuse and Mistreatment Institute says caretakers should know when there's a guardianship order, that person cannot make their own decisions.
If a patient has been ruled incapacitated, they cannot participate in consensual sex, period.
And why is that?
It's because they don't have the ability to make an informed choice.
This lawsuit also claims that Longhorn Village did not report the alleged sexual assaults to state investigators as required by law. They didn't even tell the family. It was a nurse at Longhorn Village who eventually reported the case on her own to investigators here at the Texas Department of Aging and Disability Services.
We all knew that her mental capacity was not one that could consent. We all knew that.
Longhorn Village fired that nurse, Kathy Yessian, seen here in a video deposition. She and another employee who were fired sued for retaliation. Longhorn Village agreed to settle both of those cases, but admitted no wrongdoing. Longhorn Village's executive director declined an interview about the sexual allegation, but said in an email the state found the complaint was unsubstantiated and no deficiencies were cited. Based on this thorough independent investigation by the state regulator, Longhorn Village believes the pending lawsuit is entirely without merit. But KXAN has uncovered the state's investigation was far from thorough, something a spokesperson for the Department of Aging and Disability Services admitted in an interview just today.
It was a failure. It was something that needed to be done, that wasn't done.
The state's investigator said in a 2012 court hearing he didn't even see the guardianship order, and it wouldn't have mattered to him anyway. He determined what happened was consensual sex, and the complaint unsubstantiated.
In this case, your investigator reviewed the medical file, but was not aware that there was a guardianship order. Why not?
Correct. And we don't know why not. We're reviewing the case now to determine what, if anything, could have been done differently.
And KXAN also discovered the Department of Aging did not follow the law. It's required to report all allegations of abuse and neglect to law enforcement.
Initially, you told us that this agency reported this case to law enforcement, but we found that was not the case. Why didn't it get reported to law enforcement?
That's a question we're trying to answer at this time. It was not reported as it should have been.
The fact no one told them and nothing was done leaves the family feeling like the system failed them.
In this case, the guardian wasn't notified and the family wasn't notified, but they should have been notified.
Absolutely.
Frustrated and disappointed. It's just hard to imagine that there'd be that kind of callous approach to someone's care and their responsibility.
Now, including these allegations, the state has investigated a total of 3 abuse and neglect complaints at Longhorn Village. All 3 were found to be unsubstantiated. We also checked further into these kinds of complaints the state has investigated over the past decade. There have been about 17,000. The state ruled most of those, almost 90%, were unsubstantiated. Now, Shannon and Robert, you might be thinking as a family member who has someone in a facility like this, has there been a complaint at that facility? We're making that information available for you online at KXAN.com. You can go and look it up right now.
So you mentioned in your story that Longhorn Village fired a nurse as this case played out.
Yes, and we're going to hear from her coming up at 10 o'clock tonight. We're also going to hear about my conversation with the male resident who still lives at Longhorn Village.
So Brian, I think a lot of people might be wondering, if I have a family member or a loved one in a facility like this and I'm concerned something like this may have happened to them, what do I do?
First thing and most important thing is to call law enforcement and report it. You can also go to KXAN.com. We've got resources there that you can click on links and get some help.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. Very important information. And this story came to us through a viewer tip. If you need something investigated, go to KXAN.com and click on Report It.